Yep, that's me. Kilometer 26 into a half marathon along the coast in Osaka. But Eli, isn't a half marathon only 21 kilometers? Yeah, I'll get to that. Long story short, I went the wrong way. A few months ago, I realised I was spending a lot of time lifting weights and no time at all doing any cardio. I hated cardio, but I thought, hell, it'll be good for me, and despite having not been on a run further than 2 kilometers since I was about 16, thought it was a good idea to sign up for a half marathon. It was the Senshuu International Marathon in Osaka, a city that I've always wanted to visit, so it was certainly an interesting excuse to do that. I gave myself 5 months to train, so I had plenty of time, but I realised that running more than 5 kilometers really hurt my hips. I'm hypermobile, so I have to be cautious about not overtraining. The problem is, because of that, it got to my time to leave for Osaka, and I still hadn't ran more than 14k. My nerves over this were not helped by our method of transport to Osaka. I decided to take the night bus because it's a sixth of the train price, and it meant I could leave after work and arrive on the morning of work after the trip. It was a bit intense, and not helped by the fact that I did not sleep a wink on this 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. journey. The seats were uncomfortable, not enough backwards lean, and good lord, this screen in front of our seats which turned on every hour or so. It was so bright! And I can't even have saved us that much money because my sleep-deprived ass was right to buying dumb shit. But look at these cute key rings I got for me and my partner at the rest stop. They're little magnetic huggy cats. We arrived at Osaka at 6 a.m, freezing cold and with nothing open, so wandered around for some time trying to find somewhere warm until we found a Tully's Coffee at about 8 a.m, where, to be totally honest, I fully passed out as soon as I'd finished my funky little Tom and Jerry coffee. After a little nap, we had another little explore now that the sun was up and the ice was melting. Look at how cool this is. This sculpture had obviously been covered in ice earlier, but the sun had thawed it, leaving these icicles just in the shade. Also, this was just neat. These ice chunks had formed on the water flowing down the steps, but now it was thawing. The chunks kept just getting slowly pushed off their steps. Anyway, enough of me getting oddly excited about ice. We then went to the Umeda Sky building, where you can go up and get a proper look at the city. The view was amazing, and the building itself was real cool too. Even if you don't actually pay the 1,000 yen fee to get up to the top, you can still go up the escalator for a pretty cool view from the floor just below. When we went back down to about the 5th floor, I looked out to the little public garden outside, and of course I spotted a cat. I genuinely think I have cat detection software installed in my brain, because I will 100% spot a cat from anywhere even vaguely visible. We went out to the little garden to greet the cat, but he didn't seem too happy about it, so we totted onwards. After refueling with burgers and heading to our hotel, the only photo I have of which is this photo of the stairs, in my very annoying fashion, I could not go up or down these stairs without saying, "Oh dear," on every single one. With our bags no longer hindering us, we went to Dotonbori, the classic place when you think of Osaka. It was very cool, but very busy. We only really stopped for okonomiyaki, and we were still shattered from that morning. On day 2, we had a much-needed lie-in. When we did eventually wake up, we had a reasonably chill morning, leaving at about noon and grabbing lunch on our way to Osaka Castle. I cannot get over this mapo tofu that I had. It was this place called Hakurinen Sakai Suji Honmachi. A bit of a mouthful. It was pretty damn spicy and so filling. If you're in the area, you should stop by there. It wasn't some tourist destination, so it wasn't busy or loud, which is always nice, and very good food. Continuing our walk from the station, we first saw Osaka Castle peeking out of the trees next to the Hoenzaka archaeological site. This was a pretty cool building recreated using techniques from the 5th century, if I'm remembering that correctly. I don't know, I'm not a reliable source, but it was interesting to see nonetheless. We reached the actual castle itself, but I'm gonna be honest, I was more interested in whatever the fuck these ducks were doing in the moat than anything else. If you know, do tell, because I still have no idea. The castle itself was gorgeous, and my partner was of course telling me about a concept for a D&D character he and his dad were conceptualizing last time they were here. I was also quite fascinated by the fact that they had all these signs explaining history, ancient history, and when the castle was destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed and rebuilt, as well as this sign, which was dedicated to the history of the elevator, which I would have expected to go in the elevator. As we left, it started to snow. This is the first time I saw snow in Japan, so it was pretty exciting, although it made me real worried for my race the next day. Since it was getting so cold, we went and found a nice warm drink at this lovely cafe, Biota. I'm still raving about their protein cookies and the fact that they offered protein coffee. I am a sucker for protein. Here we discussed our plans for the rest of the day, as we hadn't particularly thought that through. We decided, wanting to avoid the cold, to go to the cinema. We hadn't been in a really long time, and we thought we'd watch The Wild Robot, which was really good, actually, and then we went to Gusto's, which had a collaboration with the film. So we got calendars with our meals? If you don't know, Gusto's is one of my favourite chains in the country because they are everywhere, have a variety of food, an unlimited drinks bar, not too expensive, and they deliver you your food on little cat robots. Day 3 was marathon day, so I slept in for as long as I was able to make sure I got enough sleep, and headed to Rinku Park a little early to make sure I didn't have to sign in or anything. I had to be careful with what I was eating before I ran, something with protein, not too much dairy, nothing that made me feel bloated. So with our free time, we checked in with the site and found a gyudon place, where I had this perfect pre-run fuel bowl with a coffee for a bit of a caffeine boost. I did have a black coffee and a protein bar closest to the race though. The race itself started at 1 PM and the route was gorgeous. It's such a shame we didn't get photos of the course itself to share because it was 5 laps around Rinku Park along the coast. There was a beach view, a dog part, and the artificial island airport in the distance. And you could see the trains running to the airport on the tracks overhead. Obviously I enjoyed seeing all the doggies in the dog park, and there was a couple's photo shoot on the beach where a woman wearing a gorgeous purple dress and her husband in a suit trying his damned hardest to pick her up before she giggled, got down, and bridal carried this dude like he weighed nothing. Goals, honestly. So midway through the race, my watch died, which I was relying on to keep track of how far I'd ran. Oops. So I got to what I was sure was my final lap. I quickly checked in with Marshall. I told him in Japanese I'd been past the water station 4 times. I wasn't sure if that meant I had to do another lap, because I wasn't sure if the first/final laps counted since they weren't full laps. The Marshal told me to run another lap. So my Japanese isn't great. In fact, it's completely shit. I've practiced, but speaking and listening are not my forte. So clearly something got lost in translation. I went around the course again. Barely anyone left in the race at this point, so I was feeling pretty shit about myself. Been well over 2 hours, and I know that I'm slow, but that's insane. I crossed the finish line and flopped onto the grass as soon as I reached it. Feeling pretty crap about myself with my 2-hour 41 time, I went to Caesarea to refuel, at which point my dad, an avid runner, refused to believe I'd ran so slowly. He found the website and somehow found my lap times. Apparently, I'd ran the first 20.3 kilometers in 2 hours and 5 minutes, and the last 0.9 took me 36 minutes. I had done an extra lap. Nothing I could do about it in hindsight, but I don't know what I said so wrong to make the Marshal think I hadn't finished. Pretty pissed about this, I wanted to find a bathhouse to rest my now incredibly sore bones. So we found one in the nearby area, but rather than a Sento, it was a super public bathhouse, which is just a fancy Sento. While Sentos typically allow tattoos, super public bathhouses do not, so we just took a quick ride in the Ferris wheel with a nighttime view of the route I'd just ran, then took this fancy train back to our local station. We went to a local Senshuu, which was really lovely, so I'm glad we did end up there. The owners had named the Senshuu after their sheep 10, and they sold these stickers of him. Here he is in my scrapbook. The next day, my main plan was to go to Kayashima Station, which is somewhere I've wanted to go to for a very long time. My legs were still extremely sore, so I tried not to do too much walking, but I walk a lot. I still ended up doing 20,000 steps that day despite my efforts. After fueling up with this jiggly lunch, we took a pretty train journey to the station. The reason I've wanted to go to this station for such a long time is because of this tree protruding through it. Apparently, when the station was being constructed, they wanted to cut down the tree, but the locals completely refused due to there supposedly being yokai living in it. I knew about the tree, of course. I didn't know it had a shrine underneath the station. It was really cool finally being able to actually visit somewhere I've wanted to go for so long. After that little trip was the bulk of our walking, thinking we should save money by walking from a slightly further station to our next destination. To be fair, despite the pain, I regret nothing because we saw some really cool things. There's this beautiful river, this awesome looking museum that sadly closed by the time we got there, and this rather uncanny shop title. Definitely felt like I was going to wake up from a dream at that point. Anyway, our destination was Osaka's American village, Amerikamura. It's an area filled with lots of unusual fashion shops and cool lampposts. It was a very neat and colourful area, but I didn't think it was particularly American. Still felt very Japanese. Then again, I've never been to America, so what do I know? Anyway, it was a very touristy area, so it was all quite out of my budget, but Jojo bought me these cool boots as a birthday present. We didn't actually spend too long in Amerikamura before heading back to Dotonbori, where we ate this funky seafood ramen and dessert gyoza at a place called O Gyoza. It was surprisingly good. Heading back to the main area, we obviously had to get photos with the famous Glico sign and ride the Don Quixote Ferris Oval? I'm not really sure what to call it because that ain't a wheel. Other fun finds include this crab missing half of its legs and this very upset dragon. And a great bar with sticky notes from worldwide tourists stuck to its walls. Loved to see some Welsh up there. The next day was our final day, and my legs had finally recovered just enough to go to round 1. After our breakfast crepes, we lugged our bags over to the train station to go in the coin locker, and took the train back to the Dotonbori area. We stopped in a few shops on our way to round 1, since it was our first time we'd seen the shops in this underground street actually open. I was happy to see a Wachifield shop because I love these little guys, as well as a Ghibli shop with some damn gorgeous decorations. Just take a moment to appreciate that, it's so cute. So round 1, if you don't know, is basically a massive game center where you pay like 2,000 yen to enter and 3 hours to do whatever you want. We tried the mechanical bull machine, which Jojo was significantly better at than me. But in my defense, this was 2 days after I ran almost twice as far as I'd ever ran in my life. But I redeemed myself in a game of bowls, absolutely destroying Jojo. There was also arcade games, which you don't have to pay any extra to play, which was good fun, but it was the upper floors that were the best. All sorts of weird game courts and fun shit, as well as this Catch the Banana game, which I've always wanted to play. Good fun. The top floor had batting cages, which Jojo was quite insistent on. I reckon that's because they're a meeting spot in Persona, but it was genuinely good fun. Finally, they had a floor with basketball, darts, and a massive rink for rollerblading. Apparently they used the rink for other things at other times of the day, but I had an amazing time rollerblading, and I want to go again. Finally, Jojo realised he hadn't bought anything for himself yet, so we went on a little hunt through some character stores, such as this Pokemon store where I was the one who ended up buying things, and this anime store where I learned that I am shorter than Deku. I'm tiny. He did at least end up buying some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure merch because, surprise, surprise, JoJo is a fan of JoJo's. Finally, we headed back towards the station to grab dinner and collect our bags before getting ready for our overnight bus trip. So, thank you for watching me ramble about Osaka for the last 15 minutes. I hope you enjoyed that and the painting. If you have any watercolour tips, let me know, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Also, this video took me months. I did the race in February, for reference, so it took a while. Since I only have my phone to work on, there's the whole issue of storage space, because I'm always running out of storage space making videos and stuff. And yeah, that just... my phone is not great for this, but it's all I have. So hopefully my next video will be in the next couple months, but who knows, might not be till next year. We'll see. Yearly videos. Ah! Fell! Oh, it wiggled off! It wiggled into the soup! It's drowning! It drowned!